Now, let's go across the pond, shall we? Because the former president, Donald Trump, said he had God on his side during Saturday's assassination attempt as he was met with applause at the Republican convention.
When I heard a loud whizzing sound and felt something hit me really, really hard on my right ear, I said to myself, wow, what was that? It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood, just absolutely blood all over the place. I immediately knew it was very serious, that we were under attack, and in one movement proceeded to drop to the ground. Bullets were continuing to fly as very brave Secret Service agents rushed to the stage, and they really did. They rushed to the stage.
Well, it was one of the longest nomination acceptance speeches in living memory, and Trump promised to be president for all of America, not just those who support him. Joining us now from Milwaukee is GB News reporter Ray Addison, who's there at the convention. Tell us more, Ray.
Well, it was an absolutely fascinating speech, long, as you just said, around 90 minutes, which is long even for Donald Trump, as we've seen at those rallies that he performs around the country. But he had a lot to say on top of all of the usual topics that he talks about, such as immigration, the economy, the need to be energy self-sufficient in the United States. He really wanted to tell this story about what happened and the experience that he had when that would-be assassin fired in his direction and hit him in the ear, and a quarter of an inch more in the other direction, and he would not be here now. He was telling us, and it was quite a somber tone. He said that he wanted to explain what had happened and what it felt like. He said he wouldn't talk about it again. That very much remains to be seen. It's such an important moment in American history that I'm certain he will end up talking about that some more. But it's just after 1 a.m. here. You can see that things are getting a little bit quieter behind me at the Fiserv Forum here in Milwaukee. But if we come around this direction, you'll see that things are carrying on in the bars and the restaurants and clubs behind me. And you can see a queue there for that bar. They're having some kind of victory party. And very much the feeling amongst people here that I'm talking to is that tonight's speech was a big success. He said he wanted to try and unify America. Obviously, the people that I'm speaking to are obviously Republicans, and they are inclined to be biased towards Donald Trump, but they feel that he hit the right kind of tone. They say that it's that somber, more statesman-like approach was very much appreciated, and he's very much sort of given an olive branch now to Democrats, to the undecideds and the independents to come across the floor, and even those who maybe were naturally in the past went against him or didn't like his personality, now is an opportunity to kind of coalesce around this man.
Thank you, Ray Addison, there for us in Milwaukee in Wisconsin. Well, joining us now is political analyst and former Democratic National Committee Commissioner, Nomiki Konst. Good to see you this morning, Nomiki. And this is the first time that Trump spoke since that assassination attempt on Saturday. What did you make of it?
I mean, he spoke. It was the longest convention speech in, one of the longest, at least in history, 90 minutes. He was in his element. He came out on stage with those lights like he's a showman. This is where he thrives. He loves being on stage. He loves talking to a televised audience. He loves being the center of attention. And the ratings were on him. The RNC is, of course, one of the highest rated events for any sort of political event, as is the DNC every 4 years. So he was definitely in his element. He went off script, oftentimes rambling and bizarre, diatribes as he does at his speeches. But this was the Trump show. And I think, this if this is what it was like at the RNC, I imagine that his potential second presidency will be 10 times worse.
Yeah, you say potential second presidency. He's accepted the nomination, Nomiki. What's going to stop him? Nothing's going to stop him now.
I mean, there's a lot that could stop him. I mean, his ticket right now is extremely anti-women, and they're trying to win the Rust Belt. One of the issue they had last time when President Joe Biden beat him was that they lost with, middle of the road, specifically white working class women and upper middle class women. And, having a platform and having two candidates that want to reverse the clock on women's rights by at least 100 years is not the way to win those voters. Yes, the Democrats are in disarray. I'm sure you're going to ask me questions about that, but the margins are still pretty close. And there's always a bump at the conventions. So no matter what, we expected a bump at the RNC. There's going to be a bump at the DNC, whoever the candidate is. And there will potentially be, a consolidation with the Democrats, whoever the candidate is, to really hammer this Project 2025 initiative, this anti-workers' rights, deregulation, call back to another era, basically, I mean, we don't have Brexit, but if they could do Brexit, they would in the United States. They wanted, to rip apart all of our institutions. And, not only that, they want to pull back Ukraine funding in Ukraine, destabilize the world. And I think that's extremely concerning. And yes, you were watching Trump's most loyal fans in that audience, but there is a cap to that. At the end of the day, people are going to go into the polls and say, all right, is this about a dysfunctional Democratic Party? Is this about, my pocketbook, or is this about the stability of the world? And right now, Donald Trump in that speech, it was alarming. There were people in that audience who were texting me who are Republicans, who are sucking it up and supporting the Republican Party, that were concerned about that speech. And I think that's very important to know, because it's not just about his loyal base.
Nomiki, before we get on to Biden and the Democrats, I wanted to ask you about Melania Trump, because we've just seen images there of her kissing and hugging her husband on stage last night, holding hands with him.
Him doing the same.
Him doing the same, yes, very loved up appearance by the pair of them. A very rare appearance from Melania Trump.
They were doing their best to soften former President Trump. I mean, they had his granddaughter, who I believe is still underage, 17 or 16 years old, on stage speaking about how he's just a normal grandpa who plays mind games with her. They had the family there. I mean, this is typical convention, the way, the theatrics of a convention. I mean, what you just said, she rarely appears. She doesn't campaign for him. I mean, this was the convention. This is when the family came together. You see Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump on stage. They have vowed that they are not going to be involved in this campaign either, but they're coming together as a family. And that's traditional at these affairs. But also they're trying to soften him up because of, just as you see in his 90-minute speech, he can be very aggressive.
And just before we let you go, Nomiki, just briefly, because we are running out of time, we are hearing reports that the former President Barack Obama has now told Joe Biden that it's time to give it up.
A lot of people have been coming forward. I mean, this is a complicated situation in which obviously the Democrats knew that Joe Biden was 81 years old. And my frustration right now is really with the Democratic Party, the institution not opening up, not being transparent, and not following the reforms that we instituted, mainly to protect this little group of folks who make money off these campaigns and these factions. And just as that is, I think Nancy Pelosi coming forward, she's concerned about the House. Senator Schumer coming forward, he's concerned about the Senate. Barack Obama coming forward, I think he's concerned about the election as a whole, but he does have a relationship, a strong friendship with Vice President Kamala Harris. And so you do see factions kind of going to battle with each other. At the end of the day, all of these people, who, whether it's Gavin Newsom or Josh Shapiro, or Vice President Kamala Harris or Gretchen Whitmer, they all are polling right now around the same range. So the job right now is really with the Democratic Party to step up and find the best candidate who can hit the demographics that we need to win this election against this horrifying ticket, and go across the country, send their best and their brightest surrogates out there and campaign with fresh ideas, fresh voice, and unify. And I'm a bit concerned, because of the way things are going behind the curtain, that this isn't just about having a solid ticket. It's a little bit about, well, who's going to be next on the block to get all the contracts and to get all the jobs.
No, Nomiki, thank you so much for your take on things. It's much appreciated. We've got to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.